What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I can't believe I'm live. My boy Aaron's with me. How you doing? Let's drop an intro, and then we'll get back to the funky fresh introductions.
Holy
What is
Transformers.
going on? How are we feeling? My man Aaron, how are you doing today on this fine Wednesday evening?
Second stream of the day. I'm filled with pasta and garlic bread now. My half Italian ass. I'm good. Back to work. Now we talked off camera, and I'm sure I bitched and moaned on Twitter. Everybody knows that I'm grossly out of shape, so wish me luck. But I'm doing pretty good. Interesting 49er news that we're going to get to that has nothing to do with the players on the field. But I can't wait to talk about it because it's like, when does that ever happen? But let's go.
We got some stuff to talk about. Obviously, today was OTA, so we're going to drop in. What's up to the chat? I know I haven't been active as much lately. I've been busy, but shout out to everybody out there. What's up? I see all the comments. Appreciate all the support. I'm alive. Yes, I am alive. It may not seem like it lately, but I am alive.
It does have a pulse.
I'm doing good. The pulse is there. The breath is there. The chest rising. You know, it's going. How the heck is the Niner faithful doing? Aaron says he's coming back to work. It's a grind, but I know you'll land on your feet eventually. Let's get into it. So today, Brock Purdy, he officially started throwing today, as we knew he was going to this weekend or last week, you know, and all the other reports over the last couple of weeks that today it was reported from John Lynch on Sirius XM radio that, yeah, he had a throwing session. It went good. He's encouraged. They still hope that he's, you know, going to be ready by the start of the season. They got to see how it goes, but they're encouraged. He's still the leader of the clubhouse. Nothing has changed except for the fact that he is back and he's starting to throw. Now we have to see how he responds to that. He's basically got 3 months till the start of the season to see if he can ramp up enough to start throwing in the game. That's encouraging news. He did talk about it himself. He did mention Brock Purdy as he said that, you know, I was reading some reports today, and he said, you know, the biggest thing is mentally that he has to overcome all this injury. Obviously, he'll be able to get back physically, but what is he going to be able to do in terms of getting those passes all across the field? Is he still going to be able to make those passes he did last year? That's a big question mark, obviously, for anybody. He's coming off a major injury, right? So he's going to sit there and wonder, can I still make those same throws? And that's what we're going to have to really see in the coming months. But overall, Brock Purdy back to throwing. What's your take? Are you happy? What's up, man?
I was great hearing about Brock Purdy. And yes, you guys know I've been very much on the Trey Lance train. But at the same time, you know, I'm still a Brock Purdy guy too. I'm a 49er guy, so I love them all. I find it interesting that the comment of, you know, can he still do it? And in the mental part of it, if we remember when Jimmy Garoppolo had the knee surgery after he hurt his knee the previous year, and then the preseason game against the Broncos, he was just abysmal, right? And he was having all sorts of time, and it was like, he said it wasn't a thing, but you could tell it was a mental thing. I think just with like any injury that concerns a vital part of your body that has any connection to your livelihood, there's going to be some trepidation. So to me, yeah, the two things are, can he come back with the same arm strength and, you know, that he had? He didn't have a ton. And also, can he, you know, get past the mental part? Because with any type of rehab, as Raj knows, and I know, because I've rehabbed like two separate body parts in the last 4 years, rehab is a grind. And you sometimes want to rush through it, but you can't. You got to go according to the plan. And with him, with his arm and all that, it's great to hear that his first session went well, but he's got a good little bit still before he's ready to throw a football in an NFL game.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's got a long way to go. It's good sign that he's throwing. He's on target. You know, he's checking all the boxes. Again, he's not having any setbacks, is what it tells me, and he's on pace to be where they expect him at this point. So that's the good news, is he's actually, you know, on schedule. If there was anything worse, you know, if there's any setbacks and he wasn't throwing by now, then we'd be cause for concern. Obviously, it's going to take time for him to ramp that up and get the strength and endurance and everything return to football. But again, this is encouraging. Now, the interesting question is, you know, Camden and Carl, they both have two good questions. I wanted to go ahead and kind of go over this basically. Okay. So Camden says, do you think Trey will get a shot this season, or is he kind of thrown to the wolves? Like at this point, it's like Brock watch, right? It's like Brock Purdy watch. Will he be back? Is he going to be back at the start of the season? And it's still a relative unknown with Trey Lance. We see a lot of content out there. He's out there working. We know he has the new mechanics, and people want to know, is he going to get a fair shot? Like if Brock Purdy comes back week 1 and Trey looks so good in preseason and off season, are they just going to say, okay, yeah, Brock's our guy? They've said it multiple times that he's the leader of the clubhouse, and if he's healthy, does he just come back, get his job, and Trey Lance is just going to sit on the bench until something happens to Brock, God forbid? So that is a good question, and only time will tell. It really depends on how much of the gap that Trey Lance, bridges. If he can just make that gap more, narrow and shorten the distance he has between Brock Purdy, because right now Brock Purdy is ahead. Wherever that gap is, wherever that bridge is, wherever it may lie, Brock Purdy is ahead based on what he did last year. There's no doubting that. Whether you like Brock, whether you like Trey, doesn't matter. Just proving on the field what Brock Purdy did last year, he's ahead of Trey Lance no matter what in terms of his football abilities, what he's done and what he's accomplished in his career, albeit a short time. Can Trey Lance do enough in the offseason to shorten that distance? I don't know if the offseason is enough to shorten it. I think he has to play some regular season games to shorten that gap. I don't know. What do you think?
To me, the only way I see Trey Lance taking this job from Brock is if Brock is not ready to start the season and we start off hot. Say we start off 4-0, 5-0, 6-1. Are you going to say to Trey Lance, who's bald, we're going to sit you now and bring Brock Purdy back into the fray? I don't think you can do that. Unfortunately, the saying is you can't lose your job to injury. I think you can. Alex Smith did.
Yeah.
Alex Smith got concussed, and I'm glad that they were smart and they took him out. But he essentially never gave his job back to Colin Kaepernick. And you can say whatever you want about Colin. I'm not the biggest Kaepernick fan is with his body of work, but I drank the Kool-Aid just like everybody else did his first couple of years. He was electric. He was a playmaker. I mean, what can you say? I mean, he helped get us to a Super Bowl, and there's no doubt about it. So if that happens and he's able to pull away a little bit, that's the only way. If everything's even, if we're talking even, like everything's the same. If coming into this offseason there was no injury to Brock Purdy, this would have been Brock Purdy's team. No question. No question. Yeah. And I know Trey hasn't gotten the shot, and I know Trey has a massive advantage talent-wise, and his ceiling's way higher. But I saw something the other day from a podcast that made me kind of jump back to my previous feeling, even though I've been on the Trey Lance train. As in the NFL, you don't have a chance. You don't have time to have somebody work through something. Like you don't have time to drop three of your first 4 games because Trey Lance is having a rough time. If Brock Purdy's there, you put him in.
Yeah, it's no what question. Can you do for me now? It's what have you done for me lately? It's you got to win. And again, we've talked about
especially with this team and this roster, the way it's currently constructed.
Literally, I was getting to that. That's the point. That is right there, Aaron. Ding, 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 ding. That's the point. And a lot of people have said it is. Look at the roster we have. They have such a great group of players, just a squad full of dogs. We all know how talented this team is. And you got to strike now while the iron's hot, because at some point, this talent isn't all going to be there. Like, they're great at drafting talent. They're great at developing players. But at some point, you're not going to have prime Nick Bosa. At some point, you're not going to have prime Fred Warner. You're not going to have prime George Kittle. He's already preparing for his next career, making naked commercials, whatever that is.
Yeah, jeez.
he's gonna be an entertainment of some sort. But anyways, I digress. The whole point is this team is locked and loaded and star-studded, and they can win a Super Bowl in the next 2-3 years. And you can't squander it. With like such a good team, we've squandered so many great teams over the years, and you just can't do it again. And then it goes back to what Carl said is now you have to look at everything and say, do you think Brock Purdy will be ready week 1? We don't know. And I think that really depends on how he goes in the next 3 months. That's really going to be determined on how does he respond to throwing. Does he have any setbacks? And like he says, mentally. And you going through rehab now, and me being a therapist, like the mental grind might be more difficult than the physical grind, because mentally,
Worst.
man, it is so hard to get back to that pinnacle. And these guys are world-class athletes. They have to be the best of the best. They have to be better than anybody recovering from these types of injuries. So will he be ready for week one? It could be. Right now, he has no setbacks. I think he's motivated. But the other part of that question to me is, again, it goes back to Trey Lance. Does he need to be ready for week one? If they believe in Trey, you let Brock wait and heal 100%. You don't rush him. But then it goes back to what you said. And you made such a good point, Aaron, is if Brock Purdy, if he's sitting there and he's not ready to start week one, or they're not ready to start him yet, and Trey Lance goes out there and he's 6-1 and he's cooking, baby, and you're like, oh, you don't take him out, because then you mess him up mentally. And it goes to the other player. Now he's mentally in a bind. So this is a touchy situation. This is kind of a tough situation to be in, because you got one quarterback who, if he's healthy, this wouldn't have even been a situation. Now you got this other guy who just wants his opportunity. He's getting it. And if he continues to grow, do you want to take that? Do you want to strip that away from him? So it's tough. And they're both young. They're both impressionable. They both have a lot riding on this. They're both of their careers are going to go in different in different ways here after this whole year. This is a big year for both quarterbacks for the 49ers. It's going to be tough, man. It's definitely a hell of a battle. My man Peter Parker says, I'm encouraged with what Lynch said. It's still going to be a QB1 competition, and he thinks the light went off for Trey and it clicked after working with Mahomes. 100%. Trey knows he needs to go out there and do everything. He's doing everything right. He's saying everything right. Trey knows this is his last chance to go out there and do what he has to do for the San Francisco 49ers. He absolutely knows this is it. And he's right now, he's doing everything he needs to do. And I think he's really improving, but we won't know until a game situation, because you could throw the pretty ball all you want in t-shirt and shorts, no pass rush. We have to see what he can do in a game with players like CMC and Kittle and XYZ. So
yeah, it's hard to take away. I saw something today that somebody made a good point. So if Trey Lance does well in practice, it's only practice. If Trey Lance does bad in practice, then practice counts. So it's like how you have to kind of measure your excitement with no pads and no pass rush. But you can also, I mean, if guys are missing guys wide open with no pass rush and are just so erratic that you don't know if they can complete an NFL pass, that's kind of an issue.
Did you see? So speaking of that.
Oh, I saw it. Man, I have a bad shoulder and I could have made that throw.
The Buccaneers are going to be so bad, bro.
They're going to be so bad. They went from Tom Brady to a guy who can't hit a wheel route. Oh, my God.
Bro goes like he drops back, throws it. I mean, and the ball just sails 5 yards away from the receiver. Receivers, like, the closest receiver, just like, I see that. I'm going, oh, my.
Peter Parker knows exactly what you're talking about. He says, hey, at least he didn't look like shake and bake. Oh, my God.
It was so funny, bro. So you're right. At least at the end of the day, man.
Man, that was, dude, there's nobody after you. How do you miss that throw? Set your feet. He's wide open. That looked like a Jimmy Garoppolo against the Titans with Juszczyk down the sideline. Yeah, he missed him by 15 yards. How?
Craziest part, it was worse than that. It was actually worse than that. It's crazy. Shout out to my boy Jason. He says, I know your life is busy, but I miss you every live. Hey, yo, I appreciate
We all do. But Roger's got to pay them bills, man.
I know y'all been missing me. I've been honestly working 50, 60 hours. I've been grinding, man. It's tough because I do wish I was putting out the content and being able to stay home and do the YouTube like I was before. But
yep,
you gotta pay the bills. And California is not cheap being a single parent out here. So
spread the word on Raj, guys. If you want him to be on more, tell everybody that Raj has a channel, and let's get his channel to break back into the stratosphere where it belongs, dude. He puts as much work into than anybody.
I think during the season we'll work. Also, man, I just had to take I had to kind of get unplugged from social media, man. It's been
I totally agree with
tough,
you,
man. Because not only that, I just been so busy with so many other things in my life. Like the social media takes up a lot of it. You know me.
It does.
Season, I'm like grinding. I'm putting out stuff like every second. So I've had to kind of detach myself, and it's been nice actually, just living my life and kind of stepping away from social media. But I'll be back. You know, I'm not going to be away forever, but it is nice to have the support out there. I appreciate everybody. It's cool. Like today was a good day. When there's content, I'm like, oh man, I love it because it makes it easier for me. So when there's not a lot going on and I'm so busy, like I can't force myself to put content like I used to. Sometimes I'm just like the ideas are working, but when I'm so stressed and strapped out for time doing so many other things, I really don't have the mind or the time to drop all that content and stuff. When like before, I was like, oh man, random Wednesday in the middle of the off season, I'd have like content ideas. But lately, man, it's just don't have it.
You
So
could be like some people and take a video from 2 years ago with Brandon Aiyuk and run with, I forgot who did that. He ran with a story based off an old video,
oh
and then
yeah,
they had to have it pulled. I'm just like, come on, be better.
I mean,
Uh,
I could do like throwback stuff, but we've seen the same clips. I mean, everybody off season people regurgitate the same stuff. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But
there's
back to
only 60 49er channels to choose from, so whatever.
but you know, you follow me, baby boys, because y'all love me. I love y'all too. So it is nice to be talking and streaming and talking Niner football.
Exactly.
Speaking of Niner football, so we can sit here and talk about the quarterbacks all day. I feel like we did a good enough job on that. There was a guy by the name of Brandon Aiyuk who's really confident in himself this year. He says, so they talked to Brandon Aiyuk today, and man, let me tell you, the confidence this guy has is just amazing. Year 4 in the league, obviously he signed his 5th-year option, contract season loading. He had his best year last year, 1,000-yard receiving season, and man, oh man, I love Brandon Aiyuk, man. This guy just better every year. He's put himself in such a good position, in his body physically. You can see he's just bigger. He's faster. He's shredded, man. Like you saw it last year during the playoffs when he had his shirt off and he was in one of the post video huddles and stuff, and he was just like shredded. But he's even bigger now. Today they asked him, "What are your expectations for yourself this year?" He says, I'm about to take off. That's it. Straight to the point. Simple. I'm about to take off. Like last year was his breakout year, but now Brandon Aiyuk, I this guy's confident. You want to talk about
Someone's trying to get paid and win at the same time.
Mamba
Yeah.
mentality, man. This guy. What do you think about Brandon Aiyuk? What are your expectations? Like, I was hyped when I was watching that today. I saw that. I was like, oh, I was driving and I had the video clip. And then I see it. I was like, oh, Brandon is high, bro. This boy he is so ready this year.
He's our best pure wide receiver on this roster.
Yeah.
No question. Debo may be the best playmaker. You can kind of go back and forth with that one with CMC, but Aiyuk is the number one wide out in this squad, and just he's you saw it last year, man. Get him the damn ball and get out of the way. You just got to have regardless of who the quarterback is, your first read should always be Brandon Aiyuk. You got to feed him. He seems like the type of guy who gets better the more you feed him during a game. So I think he needs to be. I know Kyle Shanahan runs an offense where like anybody can be the star at any given game, but they're going to pay him, and it's just a matter of how much they're going to pay him, and how that's going to affect things around the other parts of the roster. But yeah, I expect him, if healthy, no setbacks, no dramatic injuries happen this year. I expect him to have a better season than last year. I'm thinking somewhere between 12 to 1,300 yards and maybe 12 touchdowns, something like that. For him, that doesn't seem like a lot, right? But you have to realize the 49ers have like 4 other mouths to feed.
Yeah.
But for him to have that,
a run first team, Aaron, like he said, like he tweeted a couple months ago when he says, 4th option on a run first team, 1,000 yards. Like he knew what he was worth. It's like, dude, he knows. And that's what he says. He's just going to take off this season. Like, let me do my thing. And you're right about one thing, Aaron, is he's the type of guy where once you kind of get him the ball and he starts getting a groove, it's hard to stop him. His route running is just, oh man. And that's
dirty. It's dirty in a good way.
We've seen him get shredded. We've seen him get bigger. Like we talk about how much more physical he is, but over the last 3 years, like
it's been uphill every single year.
His improvement in route running is impeccable. It is absolutely amazing to see this guy. And I'm just like, I sit back and I'm like, oh my God, this guy just shaking people. Like he's like a Keenan Allen, Devontae Allen. Like he's on that echelon in terms of route running. The guy, well, you'd put any cornerback, he could probably cook him off the line. and he's getting better, and he's
If
strong.
Aaron Rodgers was his quarterback,
Oh God,
he would have Devontae Adams numbers. He does have a little bit of the dropsies, but I think all our receivers have a little bit. Him and Debo both have the dropsies. But he's electric off the line of scrimmage.
he's amazing, dude. He's absolutely amazing.
If he was playing basketball, his crossover would be legit.
Yeah, he would be. He'd be like Allen Iverson.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Little Allen Iverson from back in the day when he crossed over my man Jordan. You know I'm a Jordan guy, but that was a dirty crossover.
Yeah, when I was a Jordan guy too. When he did that, I was like, oh, that's it. I went and got after that. I was officially an AI.
You had to get the answer shoes. I had the shoes too. Don't worry about it.
Bro, I had the fit, I had the AI fit, man. I was like, okay, had to get the answer shoes. Those shoes were, if you didn't have those shoes back those days, you were nobody. I remember I had those, came to high school with my answer shoes. Oh, it was love. I was loving life. I had those were nice, man.
No.
BA is gonna be nice. My man Peter Parker says, calling it right now. BA is gonna break someone's ankles. He's actually gonna break someone's ankles. Like literally do it. Like card on the field. For training staff. Can you imagine?
As long as it ain't his ankles, I don't have a problem with that.
As long as it's not his,
yeah.
I want to Tariq Woolen. Could you imagine Seahawks, Niners, just
little stutter step? Like when Rod Woodson that blew his leg out?
Yeah,
back in the day. Yeah, we need one of those. But
we need one of those. I don't wish injuries on anybody. I shouldn't say this, but could you imagine if he like literally like sprain the ankle? Okay, let's sprain
pops
ankle.
an Achilles, just boop, all gone.
That'd be bad. I hope he doesn't get hurt.
We don't really want anybody to get hurt because, like I said, rehab sucks.
And karma will come and get you. But
yeah, I've got plenty of that in my life.
Yeah.
don't make fun of heavy people.
Yeah.
Like I used to crack on my dad for being a big heavy guy, just as fun.
Karma,
and now I'm a big heavy guy. So don't do it.
Aaron, speaking of BA, so he did talk a lot, and they asked him about some other players. They asked him about the rookie Ji'Ayir Brown. They asked him about Ji'Ayir Brown. Now, let me tell you about this guy. Rookie safety, right? He is locker mates with Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk said, hey, this is my locker mate. We talk. He says he really likes him. He loves how he is. He's quiet. He goes about his business. He's quiet. Doesn't say much. But apparently, according to Brandon Aiyuk, in OTAs, it's been 2 weeks now, he's had 4 interceptions. He's almost had 5. He dropped 1. 4 interceptions right now. This guy's a playmaker. This guy's a ball hawk. 4 interceptions right now. I love it, man. I like this kid. He has potential. I don't know. What do you think, Ji'Ayir Brown, man?
He was a turnover machine in college, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing it. It shouldn't. I mean, it is a surprise, kind of, because it's practice, right?
It's practice.
But what Brian and Aiyuk says, he don't talk very much. He just works. I love guys that don't talk a lot.
Yeah.
I hate. That's why I don't like Javon Kinlaw. He talks too much, and he don't produce, and he's always hurt. I like guys that just go to work. And it's funny that it's Aiyuk who's saying that, because Aiyuk in his first couple of years didn't say squat. And now he's becoming one of the unquestioned leaders of the locker room.
So true. He's a captain now. He's like,
it makes perfect sense that he would say, this guy doesn't talk, he just works.
Yeah, I love it.
And when, I'm sorry, as a young player, you shouldn't be saying nothing. The only thing you should be saying is, hey, veteran guy who's really good, I want to pick your brain and figure out how to become better. That's all you should be talking about.
The only thing you ask, the only talk you're doing as a rookie is, how do I get better? How can you teach me?
You should be carrying people's bags, paying for dinner. That's just how it works. That's life.
You got to earn your keep. You got to earn your, you got to earn your stripes. That's it. But you're absolutely right with what you said, is the fact that Ji'Ayir's quiet. He goes about his business. He's not, he hasn't proven anything. Like, he was a great college player, but in this level, he hasn't proven anything. Like, when I have students, when I was a clinical instructor, when I had people working under me, or when I was a mentor, that's it. Like, you get these hot shot, people in the medical field, they think they know everything. And I'm like, you don't. And then when they're in a tough bind, in a tough situation, they start panicking. And I'm like, look, if you would have just listened to me, and you know everything, you wouldn't be shitting your pants right now. But that's the thing. When these rookies come in and they think they're hotter than hot, when they get in a tough situation, then guess what? Then they're like, oh, dude, what am I supposed to do? So as a rookie, and any type of new job you have to go in, you learn, you get your
mouth shut, ears open,
and ears open, and grind. You got to be a blue collar baller, man.
That's how I was as a kid, as a young teenager. Any job I had, I was always, because maybe I'm not the most, I can't say like, I'm not the most athletic guy. I'm not the most talented, quickest worker in any job I've ever done. But the one thing I do is I work really hard. So,
That's it.
I always was the guy that asked, I would ask questions, so many times that people would get pissed, but I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing so that I can't say to the person, well, you never said anything. So, no, I'm not surprised he's doing well in practice. I hope it translates over to, pads and scrimmages and games. But I mean, it's a good sign. He could be overmatched, and we
Yeah.
could be talking about how bad of a pick it looks like already. But that's
Like,
coming from Aiyuk
yeah.
means a lot.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from that. When it's Brandon Aiyuk saying it, I'm gonna listen, because if it was Brandon Aiyuk, I don't care. But Brandon Aiyuk, he's that guy. He's that guy. And if he's giving you praise, I like it. And their locker mates. So that's a perfect situation, man. Like that, Ji'Ayir Brown's gonna be sitting right next to Brandon Aiyuk, man. And Ayuk's been balling. Apparently, I know they're not padded practices. They're thrown against the air, but he had 2 touchdowns today. And from everything I read today, the boy was absolutely cooking.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear somebody practicing hard. You got to remember, man, Jerry Rice used to take every practice rep, any ball he got, and take it to the house all the time.
But you play like if you train hard, you're gonna usually it translates. Like that's how people's mindset is. If I practice this is gonna happen. And when he was on the field, it was so hard for people to bring him down. Like he was just a monster once he got the ball, because his mindset was, okay, I got the ball, I need to score a touchdown. I don't care what's in my way. It's like CMC. They saying he's practicing already at 100%. It's freaking OTAs. The guy's practicing harder than anybody. But those type of guys, that work ethic rubs off on other players, and they see it. They're like, this is why he's great. I need to be like him. I need to be like him, and I love that for this team. Speaking of, so let's move on here. So we also heard from the O-line coach. Was it Chris Forster, the O-line coach? He keeps it 100. Like we were talking about this behind the scenes. Like he's just straight to the point. He doesn't.
I've never seen a coach that is so honest. Like, yeah, this guy isn't going to be good at this, this, and this. I'm like,
I love it, dude.
What?
He's like, this guy's a guard. Nothing else, nothing more.
Wow. Like, okay, we could kill that conversation.
Because everybody's like, Twitter's like, oh, well, maybe he can play right tackle. No, motherfucker.
Nope.
He's guard.
He's guard.
Like, okay, we shut that down. So he talked about 2 guys specifically. Spencer Burford, how he's the guy at right guard. It's his job.
That's my guy right there.
I was like, that's my guy too. So let me get the actual quote that he said. So he talked about Spencer Burford today, and he said, let me pull this quote up. So this was from Matt Barrows, and again, Chris Forrester said right guard Spencer Burford looks like a different guy in year 2. He said his message for Burford is, you're not looking over your shoulder right now. This is your job. And I saw Burford. I can confirm that he looks like a different guy this year. Like I saw him. I know the guy now that
he was splitting time last year too.
He was splitting. I think it was good for him, because now he knows what it takes for to make it even better. Because I think that was good for him. It didn't tire him out. He learned what it needed to take, and now he knows, okay, Dan Brunskill's not there. I have a golden opportunity to take more reps. And I saw him when I was at that baseball or the dodgeball, the charity event a couple weeks ago. This guy, and I think I said it that day when we were talking, the guy is absolutely huge. He's massive, put on some muscle. Like I could tell. I remember when the first thing I saw, I shook his head. I was like, Spence, you got big, bro. I was like, he was like, you could tell. He was like smiling. He goes, you could tell, because we like noticed. I said, you got so big, man. He goes, I've been working, Raj. I was like, you got so big, man.
That is so awesome that you can talk. That's awesome, dude.
He's amazing. I love Spence. Like he's just a genuine, he's a guy that you like root for. If you've ever talked to him and met him and like talked to the guy, he was just beaming, man, smiling. Like, yeah, dude, I told him, I was like, bro, your whole arm is now bigger than my entire body. It's probably not hard to do, but the guy is massive, Aaron. I freaking love it. I'm so hyped to see Spencer Burford this year, bro.
It's funny that you say that. You saw the interview before. Brock Lesnar's talking about Conor McGregor. He's like, Conor McGregor, he weighs what? Like 140 pounds? That's how much my left leg weighs. I was just like, geez.
bro. He's been
That's what you got to be in the NFL. You can't be some dainty little. The NFL is all about massive human beings who can move heaven and earth. So,
this
you
guy.
notice something about the Niners, though? Teams who have a championship culture, you either crap or get off the pot as a player. You either get better, get in the gym, or you're not going to have a job. And everyone's talking about Kinlaw. Oh, he's doing this. He's looking great, and it's like he should be.
He better be.
He's not getting a fifth-year option.
Fifth year, he was a top 15 pick. He better look like
Look at him. He looks amazing. He looks amazing every offseason.
But can the knee be great? His knees are worse than some of my. His knees are probably worse than yours, Aaron. I hate to throw you out there under the bus, but they might be.
That's a fair shot.
I think they might be.
But I'm 43 years old. I'm not 23 years old or 24.
That's how bad the situation is. The man looks amazing. Yes, I can confirm. He looks great.
Good without a shirt. Woo!
He built his body. He looks great. But I'll tell you what, my boy, his knees don't look. They don't. That's the problem. He hasn't been able to stay on the field, and I feel bad for the guy. But hey, you got to put best ability is availability, right? And he hasn't been able to stay on the field. Unfortunate for him. Now we talk about transforming our bodies. There's a guy I want to talk about, but before we do, I want to stick on this O-line. Because Chris Forster did mention that. So obviously Spencer Burford has a solid grip on the right guard position, but Colton McKivitz, that's your right tackle. Unless he blunders, unless he falls and hits his head and unless something absolutely bad happens, Colton McKivitz is your right tackle. He's the guy.
Yeah, Colton McKivitz to me, not the sexiest name for a right tackle. Not the actual name, not the sex. I mean, as far as you went from Mike McGlinchey, you could say whatever you want about him. Yeah, that isn't actually a really sexy name, but I don't know. He doesn't instill a lot of confidence with 49er fans. And it's funny, Chris Forrester, we talked about this off stream, straight up said, yeah, he's not as good of a run blocker as McGlinchey. Like, okay, well, I guess they're going to be running to Trent Williams' side more this season than they're going to be running to Colton McKivitz's side. But yeah, Colton McKivitz to me. That's great to hear that he's kind of locked that job down. Would I want to have another guy that has a little bit more experience and a little bit more, of a game, like a name behind him as far as player? Yes, but I mean, he's been there. He's earned his time. He's been, part of this roster for a while. So am I super confident in him? No. But, I mean, if Chris Forrester says straight up, listen, he's our right tackle, then until he's not our right tackle, he's our right tackle.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody was crying bloody murder to get rid of McGlinchey. And we'll see, because the thing that McGlinchey did good was run block.
Yes.
Fitz isn't a good run blocker, and he straight up said it. But he's a better pass protector from everything that what everybody said. And what was our issue? Pass protect. If this guy can pass protect better than Mike McGlinchey, who couldn't pass protect worth a bloody nickel, then I will be happy. If we can protect our quarterback on the right side, we're good. Run blocking with the 49ers, they have tight end. They can chip people. That they'll figure out run blocking. Like, I'm not worried about run blocking. And you have other guys that they could rotate in, just like last year. You got Brunskill, the versatile guys. You got Feliciano. You got Matt Pryor. Like, they have guys that can work. Nick Zakel. Like, there's guys they can rotate in and chip in and stuff like that, whatever they have to do. Or in certain situations, let's say, okay, McKivitz might not be good on this specific play. Let me throw in Feliciano. He can run block here on this play. Like, so be it. But if this guy can protect the quarterback, Aaron, then that's all I care about.
Well, yeah, as long as our quarterbacks aren't getting killed, like last season, especially in the championship game, then I'm a happy guy.
Can he be? Is he? I don't want McGlinchey under the bus, because I mean, he's a good dude, but you know what?
I wasn't a McGlinchey guy.
If Colton McKivitz sniffs a Pro Bowl, if he gets close to a Pro Bowl, this man is going to have a statue outside of Levi Stadium just for the fact that he
can protect our quarterback. Yay!
Surpassed McGlinchey, who's a first round top 10 pick. Anyways, real quick, Frank Tom Ocean, I believe he's a follower of yours. Shout out to my man Frank Tom Ocean. He says, "What's your channel's name?" RSF 49ers. That's the channel. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. But RSF 49ers. Frank Tom Ocean. Now, what I want to get back to is where we were talking about before, where I was going before Colton McKivitz. So a guy that actually has transformed his body, and I'm excited for Drake Jackson, year 2. Me and you
Yeah.
talked a lot about Drake. He says he's been bulking up. I've seen him also. The guy got big. He got shredded. I wouldn't say shredded. He got lean. He looks a lot better because
Still a
last year
big guy.
I could tell he had a lot of baby fat, I guess is the way I'll say it. A little chubster, but it wasn't like bad. It was just like you could tell he just needed to lean out a little bit, turn some of that into muscle, and he has done that. He's up 13 pounds, he said. He's benching 399. He's squatting 400. So I mean, obviously for him that's big, And it's a thing that they said is last year he didn't have the strength, he didn't have the power, and he tuckered out. He didn't have the endurance to make it through the season. So these are big milestones for a guy to he's putting on weight. Now he's moving better with that extra weight on him, which he says he feels stronger. So I'm encouraged with the things I've heard about on Drake Jackson. So this guy, again, he says he's been working his ass off, stacking days. And if you follow him on Instagram, the guy every single day this offseason has posted a video of him being in the weight room. Like I know he has, and I've talked to him. And again, I saw him at the event a couple weeks ago, and I was like, okay, he does look a lot leaner. Like you could tell, man, he's working, man. These guys want to get better. And like you said earlier, it's this championship mentality is that you see everybody else working. I got to do it because if I don't, I'm not going to be making a roster spot or I'm not going to be playing on this team. So shout out to Drake Jackson for putting in the work, man. What do you think? What are your expectations for Drake Jackson?
Me, you, and a lot of Niners content creators talked about how last year he looked soft when he was drafted. That the clip of him getting drafted, the first thing I thought of is, man, he's a little chubby,
Like doughy.
a little doughy for a young guy. I'm like, man, I'm doughy, but I'm old. and you see him, and he didn't look too bad last year when I saw him in press conferences. But the thing that I said is he needs a year in an NFL weight room, just like I said about Aaron Banks. Everybody was writing off Aaron Banks, and I didn't. I said Aaron Banks needs a full off season in the Niners weight room to because these guys, they come out of college and they got to do all this stuff. They got to get ready for the draft. They have to, it's tough. And if you're not like a pretty little skill position player, it could probably be really difficult for an offensive lineman to I don't know.
On their body, yeah, because they're bigger. Because you're right, offensive linemen.
I don't think people know how hard it is when you're a big 300-pound guy to work out like a guy who's 195 to 210 pounds. It's not the same kind of workout.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I thought he had some place to go. I thought Aaron Banks did and both guys, I was high on them having a second season. It's important for him because they don't really have a guy opposite Bosa, across from Bosa. I mean, they have Hargrave that they got from the Eagles, the big defensive tackle that we got, the best one in the free agent market. We have Armstead. Now we have Bosa. They need a legit edge rusher off the other side. And we could talk all about Robert Beal. We could talk all about, Clellan Ferrell and all these guys. They're just dudes, man. They're bodies. I want to see somebody stand up, take the lead, and be that opposite end. Because if you have that, we could be really scary. And I think the Niners' biggest problem last year is, other than Bosa, we didn't really have another pass rusher that could move heaven and earth like Bosa did. And if Bosa, we saw him in the NFC Championship game, he dude was gassed. And then he got his freaking calves stepped on, and that was the end of that. So it was like, my buddy Wu is in here. He's a big 6'7", tall guy, big guy. He knows how hard it is to move around at that height.
when you're that big, it's so a couple of things. You hit it right on the head.
I'm only 6'3" and I have problems. So
I mean, no matter what, when you're a lineman, to like mold your body to be a smaller guy, it's hard because you still have to eat a lot, because you still have to be big. You still have to train. Like there's so much, and they got to be able to move. So with Aaron Banks was a perfect example because that's another guy, doughy. You want to talk about doughy?
Yeah, he was real fat looking. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know.
No offense.
Coming in from college, you got to prep for like pro days and the combine and this and that, and then you're still graduating, it's tough. You're still transitioning from college. You're still the young buck. You haven't really fully grown into your NFL body. So yes, that guy, when I saw him last year coming into the offseason, there's a few pictures he posted I was like, what is that Aaron Banks? Like the guy looks a little bit leaner, and you could tell last year he was strong, he was lean, he lost a lot of that weight, and I think that's what Drake has done. He's transformed his body. It takes time. You got to grind. You got to commit yourself, and that's what he did. And the thing is, he knows it. He has a prime opportunity to become a premium pass rusher on this team with Chris Kasurik. Just like Michael in his comment says, he says Bosa and Jackson have the absolute ability to be the best pass rushing duo we've seen in a while. And that's absolutely true because,
Hope so.
we got a guy like Austin Bryan and Beal, who's a rookie, who has to transform his body and get stronger. He's a rookie. And you got Clelin Ferrell, who he's a guy. Like they had Samson Ebukam and Charles Almenahu, and they were nice, solid rotational players, but we didn't have that guy that can, man, if Bosa's double team, holy crap, here comes Drake. Like we need another 10-sack guy. Like look at the Eagles last year. That defense, they had guys flying off of every
over 70
sacks. Oh yeah,
7-0. That's ridiculous. It's like Madden numbers, dude.
Saying, dude, it was crazy. So like that's what we need. That's what we need. We needed another guy to help Bosa because you're absolutely right, Aaron. Nick Bosa was flat out. The moment the playoffs started, he just wasn't the same. Like he was because he carried this defensive pass rush. I think Hargrave is going to help immensely, and I think if Hargrave could come in and rush up the gut, if Drake Jackson turns on that switch and he can give us 8 to 9 sacks.
Yes. It could look like 2019. Remember 2019, we had Bosa, and for a little bit we had D Ford, right? And then in the interior we had DeForest Buckner and we had Eric Armstead. They were in the quarterback's lap all the time. All the time. Last year, it was like Bosa, and then it was like a wall on the other side. Like, nobody was near the quarterback. It used to infuriate me. Like, do some work, man. Like, Jesus. I was really pissed.
Me off. I'd be sitting there, I see Bosa, like, work. And then, at times, they just shift everybody to him, chip him out. And then there was times I'm watching the game, literally nobody. And I'm like, fucking gee, what is going on, man? Michael, he says, hot take, Javon Hargrave, Bosa, give me Alden Smith and Justin Smith 5 straight up game. If they can recreate those two, I mean, NFL.
That would be interesting. I mean, the way that worked, that was a 3-4 defense.
It's different.
You essentially had Justin Smith hooking 2 linemen, and then having Alden Smith rush around the outside. I could see what he means as far as like somebody has to get double teamed.
Yeah.
If you have Bosa next to Hargrave, who you double teaming? Probably Bosa, right? So that means Hargrave's going to be one-on-one with your guard or center. And he had over 10 sacks last year on that Eagles line. I think we talked about Kinlaw before. Listen, the Niners made their opinion known. Kinlaw's moving on after this year. He's gone. He's a rotational player, so he can look all great and with everything. Signing Hargrave was essentially saying we screwed up.
Yeah.
Just like when they signed Quan Alexander after they missed on Reuben Foster. We screwed up.
Yeah.
It happens. You don't hit on everything. And the Niners actually, like I said, they're great with the late round guys, but man, sometimes with their gimme picks, other than Bosa, they pretty much have missed. So
yeah.
Well, Aiyuk's pretty good.
Aiyuk's been good. Debo's been like Bosa was a can't miss product. If you didn't drop at that point,
me and my nephew were like, don't overthink it. Yeah. We kept because me and my nephew kept hearing they're going to draft Quinnen Williams, and my nephew's like, no.
I know. I was sitting there.
He was getting so mad. Like, stop it. And when he's like, what has Quinnen Williams done? I said, not as much as Bosa.
I mean, good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the thing about Quinnen Williams. He's kind of like a Hargrave. You need someone off the edge though to make it work. And I think the other thing with Hargrave, you're absolutely right, because if Bosa's double team, Hargrave can just gash whatever center is there or guard, just like a DJ Jones. But I think the other key is now you got Armstead. Now you got Armstead, a guy to help him out, because Armstead's nice in the middle. Remember the year, like you said, 2019, you had 4 pass rushers just screaming at the quarterback. Nope, they weren't safe. Any drop back quarterback that year.
Yeah, and then he had Ronald Blair too.
Yeah.
They had Ronnie Blair, and they also had DJ Jones too.
The rotation was crazy.
Yeah,
Xavier Street, but The 49ers that year, it was like every time the quarterback dropped back, if you're not a mobile quarterback, sack. You were under duress.
That Browns game was the perfect example of that.
100%.
That was one of the best games ever.
Flag planting Bosa. I mean,
that was beautiful.
Amazing. So that's what we have to get back to, because if Bosa's coming off the edge, what are you going to do? You can't stop him. And now you got Hargrave, and now you got Armstead, because now Armstead could slip through the cracks. And then if Drake Jackson can give me 8 sacks, baby, I can't wait.
Do you think? Oh, my buddy Woo says I headed out, bro. Just wanted to stop by and hear your voice. Keep it up. Y'all have a good night. You too, big man.
Yeah.
I usually when I say big man to somebody, they're not. He's actually big man. I'll see you.
Big guy.
One of these days, I got to meet up with him, and we got to go. You have some Louisiana Creole. There's a place down in Louisiana called Parasols, and they make like this hot roast beef sandwich, and it's supposed to be really, really good. I've never had Louisiana cooking. Parasols, yep. See, he knows. One of these days, we're going down there, and his big behind is going to take me down there. We're going to eat some hot roast beef sandwiches. But what was I saying? What the heck was I saying? I totally forgot. Come on, people, help me out.
What were you saying?
Something about Kinlaw?
Was it Kinlaw? I don't know.
We lost it. I started talking about food.
Back, no. So there's a couple comments I want to address. So
okay.
Before we get to Michael's, Mark says y'all sleeping on Beal. He's going to go out. I think Beal's going to be great. I have high expectations for him. He's a speed rusher. He's going to be screaming off the edge. But again, he's a rookie. 49ers rookies, they're more developmental. They're kind of players that take some time, you know. I think he's going to do great with Kasur. Last year, Drake Jackson, right? Again, perfect example of he has to make sure his body's in the right position. He's got to train in an NFL weight room for a while. I think he will be great. I don't know if his rookie season he's going to be crazy good, but if he can give us 4 sacks as a rookie, 5 sacks, that's phenomenal. But I think he will definitely be a solid player for us.
If you listen to Locked On 49ers, though, they're not Crocker and Peacock are not super high on Beal. They looked at his game film.
Very rough. Very rough.
Well, he just didn't. He never was the guy.
No,
and he didn't have a ton of sacks. He's gonna be a guy where, and I remember Sterling Bennett. And when Sterling Bennett said it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird because everybody's speaking of him as being the next D Ford. He thinks he'll be a good rotational guy, but he says he'll never be a starter. And now that those guys have watched the film, listen, like you said, if we can get 5 sacks out of him this year, and if he could be a good rotational pass rusher down the line, that's all you could really ask for. So he's a 5th rounder, too.
I think he could be a gem. Like the Niners, that's the thing, because everybody said the same thing about Talanoa Hufanga. This is the thing. The 49ers took a guy Talanoa Hufanga, who slid down the draft boards because of injuries, and he's not fast, but he's got good game speed. All pro second year. Like, I think the Niners find players that are like on the cusp of, if you just mold them right, if you just develop them right, if you just train them right, they can develop into something. They could be like the what's the ugly duckling. It hatches into the swan prince.
Swan, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they have players that are like that. Just like, man, they see the potential under the hood, and they're like, okay, give us a year or two, and he's gonna be a dog. Like, Beal could be that. Like, I know he's raw. That's the thing, is he's very raw. But I think the Niners could become a team that gets the most out of them, out of a lot of teams in the league. And that's what the 49ers do, is they take players that are kind of on the cusp of, they could be really good, or they could just be a solid, decent player, but they make them really good because they're training, their coaching staff. It's next.
Right. And a lot of the times with the 49ers, they essentially redshirt guys.
100%.
Especially if you don't need them. That's why I keep asking you, and this is what I was going to say before I said goodbye to my homie. Are you still thinking that we go after a veteran edge rusher in free agents? Come on.
Absolutely. Why not? I know
what's going on? Why are we waiting so long? Are we waiting for the market to just completely bottom out? Are we going to wait till July? Like, what's happening here? There's all these guys just sitting there.
I just think that there's a lot of logistics they got to go into, and maybe they don't. Maybe they're so sold on the guys, because sometimes the 49ers.
I think that's a mistake if they just sit idly by.
I agree. I think they should just make the move, do it now. but they're giving their young players a chance, and that's fine. But I still think if they have the money, they can make it work. Go do it now, dude. Just do it. But
1 year deal. That's it. And you can
but
put a
I
bunch of dead years on.
oh, but I think also June 1st is coming up. The new league.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're waiting because June 1st is coming up. The market's going to change. Players are going to be cut here and there. There might
Mm-hmm.
be more players available that are a little cheaper that they can get. And
True.
not only that, you got a couple more weeks, one more week of OTAs, then mandatory minicamp. After that, I think they'll be able to really assess. Okay, we got a month and a half, or a month and some change before training camp. I think by that point they'll know if they really, really, really need to make that jump or not, because they'll also be figuring out the Bosa situation, the contract around that time. So I think after the next couple of weeks, the picture will get clearer, and maybe that's when they jump the gun and make it. Because again, I have high hopes for Drake Jackson, but it would make absolutely more sense if you could make this defense even stronger. Why not? Why not?
I just think until you have a legit edge rusher on the other side, to be against adding somebody because you're trying to push a young guy is kind of asinine. This isn't a 4-win team here. This is a team that's supposed to be competing for a Super Bowl. You want to be the best you can possibly be. Now, you don't have to go out there and blow a ton of money. I mean, Mark said that a lot of vets don't need the OTA, like Justin Houston.
Perfect.
Bring in a guy like this, an automatic 10 sack a year guy. That's what you need on the other side. You need a legit dude. And then what happens is you give him for a year, and if what's his name, Robert Beal and Drake Jackson ball out, you let him go next year, and it's all good.
And he's a veteran, so he's going to become like a mentor, and he'll probably learn so much for having a guy like Justin Houston. Are you kidding me? Justin Houston.
I love Justin Houston.
He'd be like a coach. Like, he would probably teach Nick Bosa a thing or two, because, bro, I don't know how.
He was the forgotten guy in the D4 trade, and look who won out on that one.
Won out on that, dude. Justin Houston, what is he, like 37? He's getting up there.
He's pretty old.
He's getting old. He's old. The man's still putting together tents. Like, for him to be out there still dogging like that, that's amazing, man. You can learn a lot from a guy like that. You need veterans like that on this team.
Nothing wrong with some old heads. I work with a bunch of young guys. They like their old head. I'm an old head.
Right? I like the vets. What the vets. Yeah, man, I'm excited for this defensive line. I do agree. So recapping, I would definitely love to see them add another veteran at pass rush. We've been saying it for weeks. Michael had another good contribution here. So he says, do you guys think this is probably the last thing I want to go over? He says, do you guys think that we're gonna feel the Ji'Ayir loss? I think that's how you spell his name. LOL. He says, or will Greenlaw and Warner hold it down? So here's the thing: the 49ers, they, out of all the position that I never really worry about is linebacker. They're like a linebacker factory. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. You got Marcelino McCrary-Ball, who's about to come and step in. They got Oren Burks. They got, Flanagan Fowles. They drafted,
D. Winters,
the Graham. Like, they got players, man, that are going to ball out. I think initially we may feel the loss of Ji'Ayir because he really was a solid player. He really stepped in. He was an undrafted player, and he worked his way up the rankings and became a very good player. And shout out to him. I'm glad he got the money. Got a bag at Tennessee. He deserves to be a star on a team and kind of be the star linebacker and the centerpiece like Fred Warner. But I think Marcelino McCrary-Ball, if he can develop as good as I think he can, I think he'll step in. You may miss him a little bit because Ji'Ayir was good. You can't expect to replace him immediately, but I think as the season progresses, we won't take that big of a drop off. And also, too, I hate to say this, but Azeez was injured, a little bit at times. So I feel like maybe as long as we got Marcelino in there and he can develop to the guy that I think he can be, and I've heard a lot of great things about him, I think we'll be okay because the Niners develop linebackers great.
Yep.
Their linebacker coach is amazing. So I feel like we won't take that big of a loss, maybe initially, like I said, but I keep your eyes peeled and keep him on Marcelino McCrary-Ball. I think this guy wants him, man. This guy, again, undrafted.
I was preaching about him at the end of last season before they drafted D. Winters. Now with D. Winters, I'm like, now we might have D. Winters essentially redshirt this year. Who knows? And then who knows? We don't know. For all we know, D. Winters could be the guy.
No. Linebacker you right here. The 49ers.
I hope it's McCrary-Ball just because we've talked him up so much, but
I know, me too. I'd look stupid if it's not him. I've been
Right, because I was the same person. Like, oh, my McCrary ball, and people are like, who is he?
yeah.
Hey, do you want? I'm going to ask you real quick the situation that happened in practice.
Oh, let's.
Do you,
Thanks for reminding me. You know what? This is the story. This is the. We should have let off with this because
oh, it's very juicy.
let's go. We're going to talk about the most epic story of the day. 40 OTA. Go for it, baby.
All right. So Matt Mayoka said there was a unique scene at 49ers OTA today when Kyle Shanahan ordered NFLPA player Dwayne Allen off the field. The two men exchanged words, bringing practice to a temporary halt. I understand they later met and aired it out. Hold on, my eyes are. He says Allen was standing with players and coaches on the actual practice field, and Shanahan approached him. Allen watched the remainder of practice from the sideline. I heard they got into quite a shouting match. And if you guys take a look at what Dwayne Allen looks like, Kyle Shanahan has massive testicular fortitude because I probably wouldn't have screamed at the guy. So apparently he's an NFLPA guy. He was getting a little too close to the practice field with players, and Shanahan pretty much screamed at him and told him to freaking kick rocks.
Oh, wow. He's a former tight end. I'm looking him up. Yeah, dude. You don't piss off Shanahan. He puts his own players in the doghouse, bro. He's going to put
White Allen. Just put somebody from the NFLPA in the doghouse. Jeez.
Doghouse, bro. So
that's my coach.
This is the pictures. Dwayne Allen. He's big. He's a tight end. He's got
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't mess with Kyle Shanahan. I wouldn't mess with him. But yeah, I'm glad that he's former tight end.
I guess that was like the story of the day.
That's what it looks like. I'm looking it up now, dude. Why would you try to piss off Shanahan? So this guy's 6'4", 260 pounds. Shanahan don't care how big you are. He'll step up.
He's got guys on his team who would handle it. You think they're gonna let him get near the coach?
Nah, bro.
Nah, dude.
I like Shanahan, man. Like, listen.
So do I. Shanahan's got the respect of his players. He's loved.
Don't come up on my field. Don't be.
This ain't Chip Kelly. They probably would have let him get his ass kicked if that was the case for Tom Sula.
That's crazy. I can't believe he was standing on the field like. Who are you, man?
What are you doing here? Are you spying? Like, what's happening?
Exactly. And the former Patriot. I wouldn't be surprised.
Of course.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He's probably going to go freaking stooge us off to the Eagles now, and they're going to know all our plays and stuff.
See? That's what I'm saying. Like, what if he's a spy or an espionage? Like, Kyle's about business, man. I like it. I don't. First off, how did he get? I mean, obviously, he probably has media credential, but that's messed up, man. They should be able to screen that stuff. If you're not part of 49er media, get out of here, man. We don't need you around.
Like Mike Tyson said when he was getting yelled at, turn off your station. So get off the field. Like, get out of here, dude. What the heck are you doing on the field? You're not a player anymore.
Maybe he was trying to get maybe he was trying to run routes.
Hey, look, guys, I'm really big. Like nobody cares.
Kyle, I heard y'all need a tight end. Let me show Kyle Pratt. We've already been disciplined in OTAs enough. We don't need any more, dude.
Yeah, we're pretty bad in OTAs of getting guys hurt because we practice too hard.
I know, dude.
We need to be gentle. We need to take care of all our high-priced sports cars that we have. OTA Gate, Drunk Polish. I love the name, Drunk Polish.
I love it. Shout out to
Drunk Polish. I
like Drunk Polish. He's a big time. He's followed me for a long time. Shout out to
I'm illiterate.
All these people are. But appreciate
props for everybody coming through, man.
Yeah, good night tonight. Shout out to the chat. Aaron, what do you got cooking this week? What's you got anything?
I have one more show tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time with the one and only Ryan Hensley. Oh. I was on his channel. I asked him if I could return the favor. We were gonna do something today, and then he's like, I was like, we can push it to Thursday. Yeah. Ryan, I respect him for standing his ground on the whole quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And I respect people that, are not afraid to, suffer the consequences if you don't go along with the popular opinion. That's unfortunately sometimes in the content creating game, people say that some people don't take sides. And then if somebody does take a side, you get blasted for it. So it's like either way, you're screwed. You're either a fence rider or you're a hater. So.
Yeah. There's no in between. Or sometimes you go and you ride the fence and then you switch up and people you switch up. So Ryan's
I've been a little switchy uppy, but I understand his side of the thing with Trey Lance is what the thing about Brock Purdy is, people saying he's a top 15 quarterback, top 10 quarterback. No, he's not. There's no way you can make that you can't make that assumption yet after that many games, just like you can't make the assumption that Trey Lance is a bust after 4 games. They both can exist in the same universe. So
I agree. It's too early to tell. I mean,
you can't know either way. Give him the same offense with the same players healthy, and if he screws the pooch, then you know. If he doesn't and he looks amazing, maybe a little bit better, you still don't know because there's not enough film on him. So I don't know.
I think what it is, in sports, what I've learned is people want to be predictors. They want to get it right because the people love to have that. People got an ego. They want to be like,
baby.
So I'm right, you're wrong. I know what they want credibility. So then when they talk, people will listen because I got it right. My opinion is like that's just people in general. They want to be right, man, and that's it kind of ruin. That's how the sports world is. People have
the way you just don't. If you're gonna make a sports point, keep it. Don't go personal and don't use credentials as your reason why you're right, because that's like a low blow, lame ass way.
People love to do that, man. I hate it. You're right, though. I agree.
Because I'm just a YouTuber. Of course, I'm wrong compared to even Raj. Raj actually meets the players. I'm just a dude living in New York.
I'm just in the medical field. Honestly, man,
that's it.
I did this and it blew up. But appreciate people like man. Shout out to my boy Michael. He says, just wanted to say one last thing. Been following you since the early days and appreciate everything you do covering the Niners. My favorite page. Like this is it, man. Like I wish I could do this for a job. Like I was trying to, but
I think we both were for a while.
I will still continue to do as much as I can. I know, like lately, it's been a little limited, but when the season comes, we'll do what we can. But I appreciate all the support, man. I love you guys. We're gonna me and Aaron, we do our thing. At least, if anything, like this is the one thing I know. Like if anything, at least I got a show with Aaron once a week. That's the one consistent thing I've been doing, and I'm glad you text me. He's very what's the word I'm looking for?
Aggressive.
You're very what's the word I'm looking for? You're consistent. You stay up on me. You check up on me, and you say, "We good for a show?"
I'm good. I'm good if you can't do it because I know you have a daughter, you have a career, and I'm okay with that. Some people get upset
because I want it, but I just like I feel like some people think like, "Oh, you're just blowing them off, Raj. You're flake." I literally am so busy. So I appreciate that you let me, circle back. And then I said, I could do it tomorrow at this time. Like we rescheduled. So I appreciate that.
I didn't really want to do it last night anyways.
Bro, I was so tired last night.
I was feeling kind of lousy, and then I ate dinner late.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope he says he wants to do it tomorrow. And you did. I'm like, good. Otherwise, I would have had to shovel food in and get on.
By the time I got home, because I had because I had to reschedule a session, and I just fuck, it was a bad idea. But anyways, appreciate you. You the man. Yeah. What? Anything else? I think that's
no. It's going to be it for a while. I think I might do our shows next week. I would assume we might do like one more run of shows. NWO will be on my channel on Monday.
2 more weeks. Next week we have another week of OTAs. Then the week after that is mandatory minicamp. Unless they cancel it this year.
Yeah, unless they cancel it. So yeah, maybe the next couple weeks I'll be on, and then I'm actually probably gonna take. I mean, I'll do shorts. I'll do quick breaking news videos if I can and when I can. But I'm probably gonna take a live stream break for probably about 4 weeks, just because there's not. Unless, like I said, if something breaks, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for everybody. I mean, some people have to do it because they pay their bills that way, but I'm not that guy. So I don't really have that pressure to do certain things, I guess. So everyone's like, what about your algorithms, man? The algorithms hate me right now. So it don't even matter.
And the algorithms are beefing on YouTube, but it is what it is. Yeah, no, I think that pretty much runs it. Appreciate you. Appreciate the chat. I hope that we get some more good news in the next couple of days. I was really hoping, I knew they weren't going to, I was really hoping that we get a little glimpse into Brock Purdy throwing, but it'll come soon. A little birdie.
He's under wraps right now. They ain't gonna show nothing.
They probably
They go to show him on video and he blows his elbow out again. Like, no.
They probably took Brock Purdy into the darkness retreat where Aaron Rodgers was secluded, so nobody could get
throwing passes underground.
Yeah, dude, I guarantee you, because they're like, we do not want to have this information leaked. We don't want RSF 49ers posting this shit on social media. I don't want anybody. You know, I would, as soon as I would have saw the video, bro, I'm tweeting that out.
It would have been all over my Instagram, my Twitter. Like, damn it, Raj.
Yep. I know it.
You and Breezy. It's like you, Breezy, and Sterling Bennett. I never have to worry about lack of content with you guys. There's always something on my Instagram feed.
I was waiting today. I was like, oh fuck. I was like at work. I was like, in days like this, I have my phone ready. I was like doing my notes, and I had my phone set up like this so I could just see the update. And then as soon as I see it, I'm like, boop, boop. I was waiting. I was like, just please say Brock Purdy video. Like, please give me a Brock Purdy. I was waiting for that, but
let me get 100,000 views. Come on now.
But we'll see. Maybe soon we'll get some. Appreciate the chat. Y'all have a good rest of your night. We love you. Go Niners. That's it. Have a good night.
See you guys.